What's up, everybody? Eric Solobox out on the trail today. So long before there was a giant loop, there was the Solobox loop, and you can't actually do that full ride anymore because of a couple of gates that I'm stymied by. But this section of power line here is part of that old ride, and so I thought we'd go out and do that this morning. This will be interesting because one of the real drawbacks to let's see if I can get up out of this rut. One of the real drawbacks to big heavy adventure bikes is just the fact that that weight, you can't get enough sidewall to really pull yourself up out of a rut. Actually, the very first time I rode this bike off-road, I was riding this section, and the one time I've dropped it was actually because of a rut. The same goes for the 701. Actually, I've dropped it on the 701 on this section too. It's really just because of the weight of the bike. It just can't pull itself up out of the rut. It can't get enough traction on the sidewall there. Look, I just slid out right there, front and back, because this grass is wet and it's slick. So this will be interesting to ride. Working on my audio levels this morning too. I moved the mic a little bit and turned the gain up a bit. Hopefully the audio that I'm going to capture this morning while doing this will actually be somewhat usable. This trail is a lot of fun a little bit later in the season when the rains come back, because there's some really fun little water crossings. It's pretty dry this time of year still, but it won't be long. It's fall now. Sunday morning, about 55 degrees out. It's, let's see, what time is it? It's about 10:30 a.m. I haven't ridden this since yesterday. I actually rode it with the dog, and he's been riding in his new little top box out back and enjoying it. Anytime I look in the mirror to see what he's up to, he's all smiles back there. But yesterday we came out here and I pulled him out of the box, and he ran this trail while I followed behind him. He enjoyed the heck out of that. He's still new to riding. All my Jack Russells over the years have all ridden with me. He's about 2 now, and we just hadn't really gotten to it yet, but he's enjoying that so far. You can definitely tell. Like, he sees when the helmet comes out, the tail starts wagging, right? Whoa, almost went down right there. You know, one thing I really like about this Himalayan, I've got the seat in the lower position right now, and it's just, you're so low to the ground, like I can just paddle my way through it. I've got both feet down. This grass is just really, really slick this morning because it's all got the dew on it. It's super wet. And so, once again, if you fall down into the ruts that are out here, the tire just can't get its way back up out of it. But the challenge of it makes for a lot of fun, and the low seat height on this bike really takes it makes it fun to do, you know. The 701 is a completely different bike, but you almost have to ride it the same way, even though, you know, you think that's a lot more capable off-road. It's still big and heavy, and so you still basically have to slow down on all this stuff. The difference being you're perched on that bike so much higher up in the air. Like, it's always got to be on your mind that if you have to reach for ground with your feet, be prepared. A lot of times you got to like slide yourself sort of off the side of the seat to get your feet down on the ground, and you don't have to do that with this bike, especially with it in the lower position. Like, my feet on the ground with the seat in the lower position, my knees are bent. And having it in the lower position also really helps with, you can really tell that the center of gravity is much lower. Just lost my mic, so see if we can get it to still stick, I'm hoping. I'm not even sure if I'm still picking up any audio. I see a blinking red light on the mic. I don't know what the hell that's about, but let's keep riding anyway. That sucks. I guess part of this, doing the motorcycle vlog stuff, a lot of it's going to be just figuring out what works and what doesn't work. So this is a DJI 4 camera and a separate mic that I'm still trying to figure out. I'm hoping to do more riding type of content. I'm also adding another channel that Asher and I are going to be working on together called Pup Shift. I've tried to find my own channel with Google and the search bar on YouTube, and it still doesn't show up. I haven't added any content to it, but people that normally watch this channel, be on the lookout if you want to go and subscribe over there. If you can find it, would be nice. Hoping to do a little bit different content over on that channel than what's always been on the Solobox channel, but I will also be trying to continue to add more stuff on the Solobox channel. I know I kind of took a long break there where I wasn't really doing much with the shop, but I would very much like to continue to sell panniers. Those sales have really fallen off over the last couple of years. Actually, ever since COVID, COVID basically all but really killed Solobox. I do still manufacture them and I do still sell them, but I need to put some more effort in to building the brand, quite honestly. And I think a lot of how I'm going to do that is going to be through YouTube. Instead of selling advertising for somebody else's product, I could be making videos which attracts attention to my own product. So anyway, enough of the plug for Solobox there, I guess. What a beautiful morning. I've been doing this section of power lines for a long time. I've done it on a lot of different bikes. A lot of KLRs, V-Strom. I've had a KTM 640 on this. Of course, I ride the 701 on it. I've been through this on a GS 1150 GSA, 1200 GS. Never took the Goldwing down this, though, I'll tell you that much. Actually, I've had a few Goldwings. I've had, I think, 3 of them, but remarkable bikes, but definitely not built for this. Definitely a lot of fun when the water crossings are in place. It just adds that extra little bit of a challenge. I'm about 15 minutes from my house right now. It's nice to have this little spot available where if I get the itch and I want to go out and ride a little bit off-road, I can pretty much almost always come out here. One thing that's interesting is to get out to this area, there is a gate that I have to go around, and that gate is currently open for hunting season, which is very unusual because I never really see that gate open. But right now it's open and it's got a sign on it saying not to close it. The last thing you want is to close the gate on somebody and have them stuck behind it, right? One time I was out riding at Walker Valley and I came across a guy with a truck and he was stuck behind a gate that somebody had closed, and he had a chainsaw with him, luckily, and I helped him get his truck out of there. But man, it was like a brand new Toyota truck too, and boy did it take a beating. But he was able to get out of there, and I did stop and help him. But that whole thing was caused because somebody closed a gate not knowing he was behind it. he was actually working on the trail for the Kilted Duck, which is like a yearly ride out there. And he ended up, because I helped him, he ended up paying for me to do the Kilted Duck that year, which I never would have gone out and done it, I don't think. Except for that he wanted to do something nice to return the favor. He paid my entry fee, and so I ended up going out and doing that. The Himalayan off-road is definitely fun. You can feel the weight of the bike. It's remarkable how well they were able to centralize the mass of this bike. If you look at this bike from the side, like everything, including the exhaust and everything, is really sort of condensed towards the center of it. And you can feel it when you ride it, especially with the seat, like I was saying, in the lower position. It's really centralized. You get your feet down to the ground really easily. The 701, on the other hand, on this stuff can really become a handful. Like, would not be very beginner friendly. And the thing is, you know, that bike makes 70 horsepower. I keep talking about hitting the sweet spot. You know, a bike that makes 70 horsepower that you have to ride slow on this stuff anyway. Like, I would actually probably argue that this is the better bike for doing this. Even though you'd look at the 701 and think, oh, it's definitely more off-road capable. And I guess in a sense it is, but in another sense, you're being stymied to some degree by that really tall suspension. Which, ironically, the thing I really want the 701 suspension to do is pick up chop on like gravel roads. It does not do that very well at all. And so it just really isn't the right bike. Speaking of the right bike, for me, you know, as much as to what I consider myself an adventure motorcyclist, the real truth is most of my riding is really more dual sport oriented, stuff like this. And so even though this is technically an adventure motorcycle, it does have some leanings towards being somewhat dual sporty. I like how they did the front of the bike. They made this bike so that it's almost like a dual sport up front. Drop my mic again. Why it's blinking red, I don't know. Oh, maybe that means I'm recording. Anyway, this bike does lean a bit towards being like a dual sport, which I like. I probably would have bought the Ibex 450 if I hadn't test rode this first. And I'm glad I ended up with this because your view, instead of having all that shit in front of you like the Ibex, you can really kind of see the ground like around the front end of this bike, which is nice. But it still gives good enough wind protection on the highway that it's still a pleasure to actually go fast on. The engine of this bike is just a sweetheart. 40 horsepower is definitely the sweet spot. I was looking at the torque numbers, you know. This only makes 10 pounds less torque than a KLR 650. And you can tell that it makes 10 less, but I would have guessed that it would have been even less than that. This is the most tricky section of this ride. You probably can't tell how steep this hill is, but it is fairly steep, and there's some deep ruts on the sides up here, which I do not want to end up in. Will make for a long day. The luggability of this motor is pretty good. Like, I'm in first gear and it's going right up this, like, and if I twist the throttle, it will get busy. Right now, it's definitely a lot more willing to rev than a KLR 650 also, so. The motor's a sweetheart. The 6-speed transmission, I'm so glad they didn't chintz out and try to put a 5-speed in this bike. It would be a deal breaker for me. They built this to sell a lot of units, and it shows. So, Anyway, that concludes the section of power line that I'll be riding for today. Eric with Solobox. Hopefully this video came out good. I will talk to you all later.